Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So everybody who has a 328i or a 330 that does a YouTube channel, they all do one video in common. If they don't do one, they do this one. And it is the 328i or whatever model they have versus the 335i. So it's my turn to give my take on it, okay? So I'm gonna kind of relate this to my car shopping, but I'm gonna, include facts about the cars and common conceptions that may or may not be rooted in 100% fact. So let's just start off with the stock specifications of the car. The 328i is rated for 230 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque from the factory. And that's a 3-liter inline-6 naturally aspirated engine, codenamed N52. Now the 330i also uses the N52 motor, and it was rated for 255 horsepower and somewhere around 220 foot-pound of torque. I don't know the exact figure, but it's pretty close to that. Anyway, the 330 and 325i's only made it for the 2006 model year before they were jointly replaced by the 328i. And then that made the run until 2013 when the E92 was phased out in favor of the F30 coupe, whatever that is, the F32 I guess. The 335i made its debut in 2007 and made its run, well, it stayed in production until last year, but we're only going to refer to the E90 generation in this video because that's the car that I own and probably most of you are interested in. 335i came at the N54 powered motor from 2007 until 2010 when it was replaced in favor of the N55 motor. Now both were rated for 300 horsepower and 300 foot-pound of torque. And from 2011 to 2013, the N54 did live on in the 335iS model, but that's a performance variant, and we'll just kind of leave that out of this video because we're referring to just the regular cars in this video for, because 335iS is significantly higher priced, and the 335i and 328i, you can find examples with similar miles for almost the exact same price. They pretty much have maybe $1,000 in price difference, which is nothing when you're financing a car over the course of 3, 4, 5 years. Let's go about reliability first now that we've got the cost out of the way. The N54 has a reputation for being a very unreliable motor, from anything from turbo failure happening prematurely, to wastegate rattle, to the high pressure fuel pump, to the serpentine belt hitting the subframe and getting sucked into the motor and destroying the engine, all the cooling issues that are pretty much prevalent across BMWs in general, and I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but those are some of them. The N55 did address these issues and has a reputation for being much more reliable than the N54 motor that it replaced. On the other hand, the N52 motor has a reputation for being rock solid also, and pretty much any failures that happen with it are probably attributable to bad maintenance or a bit of bad luck. So now the next thing that you might be interested in is fuel economy. Now the fuel economy is pretty similar because they're both 3-liter inline 6s. Everybody I know that has a 335i reports pretty similar fuel economy to what I get. And the official figures, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'll insert some text right here and show you what they are. So next thing we'll talk about is modifications. You might be asking yourself, which model should I get if I want to make power? Well, the short answer is N54, all day, every day. You will make the most power with the N54 powered car. The N55 though can make a lot of power too. It's just not going to break into those 1,000 horsepower range, which the N54 hasn't actually made 1,000 wheel horsepower yet, but I have a strong feeling it's coming. I think the world record right now is about 960 something, so it's not far off. So common modifications to build power to get to a very respectable figure would include intakes, downpipes and a tune, and with that on an N54 car you would be making I would say about 400 horsepower and a little bit more in torque. Maybe in an N55 car you'd probably be around 380 horsepower, 400 torque. So they won't make as much power, but the reliability factor might make up for that. It just depends on what you value in your car. Do you want power at all costs? Do you want reliability in a daily driver? Then we also have the N52, which is not making nearly as much power from the get-go. So you might be asking yourself, can I modify it and stay in naturally aspirated form and build a lot of power? Well, you're not going to build a lot of power. It's not like an LS motor, which I was completely unaware of when I bought this. So my previous car was a Pontiac GTO with an LS1, and when I bought this car, I'm like, okay, I'll just intake cam and headers and it'll be great. Well, that doesn't really work for that. I don't think that anybody even makes a cam for the N52, and if they do, and I don't know about it, somebody post a link to that thing in the comments below, because I need that in my life. What can you do to modify your N52 powered car? Well, you can check out my video on modifications for the N52, or I can give you a brief summary right here. And what you can do right here is 3-stage manifold and headers and a tune. So basically the same thing as the 335i that I was mentioning is exhaust, intake, and tune. It's not exactly the same process and not in the same manner and won't yield as great of a results, but between redoing the entire intake system on an N52 powered car and headers, you could be making almost as much as a stock 335i. So if the power game is your end goal, then you probably don't want the N52, to be honest. And so the only reason I bought an N52 power car is because I was misinformed about modifying it, or not misinformed, I wasn't informed at all. I just assumed that every car would behave like an LS powered car, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And I was concerned about the reliability of the N54. And at that time, N55 cars were still trading for a bit of a premium over N54s and N52 cars, where now they're all pretty much on the same playing field and the money difference is fairly negligible. So if I had to do it again today and I was looking for a car, I would probably shoot for an N55 powered 335i. I would go for an E92 this time, but only because my daughter's starting to get a bit older and pretty soon she'll be able to get herself in and out of the back seat, and I won't have to worry about that. Also look at 09 and 2010 model years of the N54 powered cars. So I would probably go for the N55 powered car because provides the best mix of reliability and performance. And I think with downpipes and an intake and a tune, that would be yielding about as much power as my GTO was, and it'd be in a car that weighs about 600 pounds less, so I could just imagine how much fun that would be. So that'll probably be my next move when I buy a new car, is to look at those, because I don't want to look at the F30 generation. I'm not a fan of the electric power steering, plus they've just gotten too big. I had one as a loaner car at a point, and it was like the size of a E65 series almost. So I'm just not too sure that I want to go that route. I think I definitely want to stay in the E90 generation. And probably by the time I'm looking at a car anyway, the price will have fallen even more, and I can pick a good example with low miles up for pretty cheap, I'd hope. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up, as it helps the channel out a whole lot, helps it grow, helps me provide more content. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and thank you for stopping in, and I will see you in the next one.